Hi, Honors English 10 students, especially students on B-Day. I'm writing to you because tomorrow you have to go to a registration session with Mrs. Garcia. So we can't meet as a class. So I'm going to go over what we would have talked about had you been in the room here with me. So we'll talk just quickly about when you get to the room on the very first day, which will now for you guys be next week. There's an attendance that I'll have you sign in. It's underneath my television. You'll write your name and then just put a check mark next to the week to know that you were here. I also want to talk to you about what we're doing this week in class. So yesterday, which was Monday for you, and we'll give this a second to load, you guys did a pair deck on To Kill a Mockingbird. Then you reviewed chapter 4 before reading 5 and 6. And then you looked up the vocabulary for part 2 of To Kill a Mockingbird, which is in your honors English packet. Each day you're also doing the ACT question. You read the question, you pick what you think would be the answer in your mind, and then you click on the link underneath that allows you to know the correct answer. So keep doing those until they're no longer available. On Tuesday, you're going to do a themes and activity for chapters 7 and 8 of the text. When you click on this link, you can see that it brings you to this list of different activities that you rotate through. And the first of these is to review what you read the previous day. So you'll have a video review of chapters 5 and 6, and then you'll have to sign in with Google Sign In to do this To Kill a Mockingbird theme worksheet. Once you click on the Google symbol, it'll bring you to this assignment. You will enter your answers to the questions in each of the boxes, and there's not a prescribed length. You just need to write as much as you feel is adequate to answer the questions that are listed. Utilize the resources that you have in terms of making sure that you spell correctly, punctuate correctly, but also work to vary your sentence length, your sentence beginnings. Don't be afraid to look up how to use a semicolon or a colon if you're not sure, and try to use a variety of punctuation formats too, because this is what's really going to help you to grow as a writer this quarter. When you get done, you're going to hit the Hand in Work button, and I will then have access to this assignment. After you complete these 3 review activities, you're going to move on and read chapters 7 and 8. You'll fill in the study guide questions in your honors packet, and then you can also use the audiobook that's embedded into this assignment. So if you want to listen to the audio, you can see that it starts at 2:21:57. It also has a link here in case you don't have access to your book, but hopefully you will. Finally, you'll end the day by doing a Kahoot challenge. The Kahoot challenge is on chapters 4 to 8, and that's because the next day in class, we will have a quiz. So I've embedded some quiz games in here and some flashcards just to help you review for that test, more so if you feel you need it. Okay, so that's what you're going to be doing when you get to class tomorrow. That brings us to Wednesday, where you'll start your hour off by taking your quiz on chapters 4 to 8, quiz number 2. As always, you must take this in the study hall room during your assigned study hall period. Nothing else can be on your desk. All your other tabs on your computer must be closed. So please be sure to do that. Then you'll take and you'll do the blogging inspiration pair deck. This is to help give you some brainstorming opportunities for the upcoming blog assignment that you'll have. There's a video to show you how to create a Google site where you'll keep your blog. And then this link here explains what your first blog will be about. And we will write several of these over the course of the quarter. So your first blog is writing about your secret passion. And I'll read just a little bit of this to you. Over the course of the quarter, you will make several blog entries on the same topic. And let me clarify, I am also okay if you want to blog on different topics. But usually people have like a theme to their blog. You need to choose a topic that is representative of something that you truly love in life. Best topics will be meaningful to you, they will have shaped you as a person, and you don't want to necessarily pick the first topic that comes to mind. So for example, you might be in basketball right now and think, I'll write about basketball. And although it's possible that basketball is deeply meaningful to you, I want you to think even deeper. Is there something in your life that no one else knows about? Do you have a pastime or a hobby that you partake in alone or with a family member? Have you had an experience that created a deep bond or some memory that will be with you for a lifetime? So Pick a topic that's unique and novel if you can. And then after that, you're going to follow the steps below. So the first is to make sure you've created that Google site that will host your blog and their video is there for you. And then once you do that, you're going to write and explain why you are so passionate about the topic that you've chosen. You'll want to include examples and personal stories, and you'll need at least 3 well-developed paragraphs. I recommend writing this in a Google Doc so that you can use spell check and then copying and pasting it into your blog. In addition, you'll eventually need to have at least 3 visuals that help you to showcase your topic. These can be personal pictures. These are typically the best. But if you decide to use someone else's image, you need to make sure that you have permission. So make sure you use the Copyright Fair Use and Creative Commons law link to know if you do. You should also add captions underneath your pictures. Then you will have to also embed a link to something that is related to your topic but would give the reader more food for thought. So they could go to that link and learn even more or contemplate your topic more deeply. There is a rubric on Schoology to let you know how you're graded, and you'll see the last link here. It says click here under number 10. This will show you how to properly submit your blog to Schoology. You cannot copy and paste the link into the Schoology assignment. If you do this, I don't have access. So before you submit it, and this is going to be due on Sunday night by 11:59 p.m., it'll be really important that you watch that video to know how to do it. At the very bottom here, you can see some of the grading criteria. This meets several different standards that we have for English 10 this year. But there's also a blog here. So you can go to this blog link and you can see that I wrote a blog on how travel is an investment in family. So I was writing a blog about my passion for travel. So you can see I included a picture of my family. I put a caption underneath it. One of the requirements is that you include a quote at the top of your blog. So you can see I've done that here. Then I wrote about why I love traveling. I included another picture of a border crossing that I was going through. I wrote a little bit more about it, have another picture, have a picture of my kids, right? And then at the bottom here, I have a link to someone else's blog titled Why I'll Never Feel Bad About My Vacation Spending. So this blog is related to my blog, and I embedded a link to it so that people could continue to read more. You'll need to do that as well. Again, you can see that I've also captioned my photos. So all of those things help to make the blog more interesting. So that's an overview of this assignment. And again, you'll start that on Wednesday. You'll also read Chapter 9 on Wednesday. And going into Thursday, we'll build off of that. Thursday, you'll be taking your next set of comma notes. Please use the play pause it for comma rules 5 to 8. If for some reason this doesn't work, you can use the YouTube link. But the play pause it video is actually probably more helpful. After you've done that, you'll have time to work on your blog. And again, that's due on Sunday. And then you'll review Chapter 9 and read Chapter 10. Finally, we get to Friday. Friday, there's a Kahoot challenge for the vocab part 2. Remember, I can see if you're doing those Kahoots, so make sure you don't skip steps. Then you'll watch the Chapter 10 review. There's a couple flashcard games and dual wisdom games, as well as a Kahoot challenge for Chapters 9, 10, and 11. You'll be taking a quiz on those 3 chapters next week, so that's there to help you. And then just finally, the back half of your hour on Friday is to finish up that blog. I think if you use your time in class, you won't have any difficulty getting it done. All right, next I want to talk about the college classes that most of you will be eligible to take. We here at Pine Island High School offer a large variety of college courses. We offer these in many different disciplines, but I happen to teach college classes in 3 different disciplines for Southwest Minnesota State University. The cool thing is that if you qualify, you not only get college credit, but you're also checking off a box for your high school graduation. To qualify as a junior, you have to have at least a 3.0 GPA and be in the top 1/3 of your class, or have a 3.0 and have a nationally normed test score that qualifies you, like the pre-ACT. So we'll finalize who's eligible this week, and if you want to know, you can stop in and see me or Mrs. Garcia. But a lot of students who are taking this class are likely going to be taking college courses. In fact, the large majority of you will. So the first class that I teach is Introduction to Child Growth and Development. This is a hybrid class, which means you're here with me most of the time, but there are days occasionally where you work independently. You can earn 3 college credit. It talks about child growth and development, cognitively, physically, and socially, emotionally. This is a great class as a foundation class for many, many different majors. So don't think just because you're not necessarily going into a field that has anything to do with children that this isn't a good class for you. My son, for example, is a business major next year at the University of Wisconsin, and this course counts as a social science requirement for him, taking place of a child psychology class that he would have taken at the university. So lots and lots of students do benefit. And for all majors, even if it doesn't count as a social science major, it does count as a general ed requirement, or as a general ed course, I should say. So this is a good class if you're going to be working with children, anything in social work, psychology, education, nursing, etc. Great class too. We had a lot of juniors take this class this year, and I expect that there'll be a lot of interest next year too. Okay, the next class is College Speech, Essentials of Speaking and Listening. This is an extremely popular course. We typically have multiple students or multiple sections of this class. College Speech is a 3-credit class as well, and you should know that this is an online class, which is one of the reasons that a lot of students really want to take this in high school. You get the ability to give your 4 speeches in various formats, and it's a lot more comfortable for a lot of students to give it, either virtually or in a very small group with a very small audience. So something to consider. This class is usually required of all majors or almost every major in all colleges. And that is also part of the reason why it's so popular. You'll get a study hall in your schedule to work on the class. All right, Lit Human Diversity. This is a 3-credit class as well. Of all the classes, if I was going to tell my kids to take one college class, I would probably tell them to take this class. The reason being is that at a lot of colleges, it does count for more than 3 credits. It will count for not only your human diversity course, but also a humanities or lit course. So, for example, my son is getting 6 credits for this class, as are many other students at area universities. It's not always offered. So it may not be offered your senior year. There'd be a very good chance that it won't be offered. If this is a class you'd like to take, I would probably make this a priority as a junior. You'll read a lot of short stories, some poems, a play, novel, and you have 2 papers that you write in the class, but a lot of it is digesting and coming up with your own opinion on different texts that are of college level, but also diverse in their themes and their subjects. You again work independently during a study hall to complete the coursework, and in both online classes we meet once a week during lunch and study hall to talk about them. Next is a new course next year, again a class that's a general ed class for some, and anybody who's going into an education field, probably part of your major. It's called Introduction to Education, and it talks a lot about working directly with children or teens in an early childhood, elementary, or secondary setting. So there's observations that you get to do for this class in other people's classrooms, as well as guest speakers and just the exploration of a variety of teaching and learning topics, group work and communication, stereotyping, cultural differences. This class may not be offered again your senior year, so if you're interested, next year would be a great consideration for this class also. So what now? The most important thing prior to registration is to find out if you're eligible. Some classes, even if you're not eligible, we can petition to try to have you take the class. So if you're close but not quite there, for example, you could take the Introduction to Education or the Child Development class potentially by petitioning to get into those sections. So you can come see me if you'd be in that position, but otherwise, assuming you're eligible, you just sign up. But in addition to signing up on registration day, I would also want you to fill out this Google form. And this Google form is going to just ask you your first and last name and your current grade, and then each of the classes that I teach are listed here, and I just want you to select yes or no if you believe this is a course you want to take next year. We're looking primarily for next year's classes. So after you do that, and you've registered for the course, then I would help you to apply to become a college student. It's a very simple process. I would do that later on this spring with you to make sure that come fall you have everything in place with SMSU. All right, So now we're into week 3. We're not going to talk about that today. Hopefully what we do for week 2 makes sense.